1991 is the year, and the Persian Gulf War has just finished. American soldiers are dispatched to finish off loose ends, but because there is little to do, they become bored and spend their nights hosting parties. Conrad, Troy's best buddy, aspires to be more like Troy, and Troy is a new parent. In exchange for articles, Major Archie, who is retiring in 2 weeks, enjoys spending the night with reporter Kathy. Adriana, a competing reporter, is incensed about this as they hardly provide her with any information, and she refuses to go that low. Chief Elgin, who is simply taking this trip as a holiday from his job at the airport, is the last person. Troy and Conrad come into a man one morning while the soldiers are escorting Iraqi detainees, concealing a covert note, what appears to be a map, in his back. In an attempt to keep everything under wraps, they approach Elgin for assistance translating it. Eventually, they conclude that the map points the way to Saddam's bunkers, which are where he stores all of his wealth. Archie, meantime, is being reprimanded for his actions with Kathy and told to accompany Adriana as per his assignment. Archie takes Adriana around the base because she's heard of a message hidden in a prisoner's rear and wants to know the complete story. However, the troops can only provide rumors and exaggerations at this point because the tale has already changed. Since no one would talk to him while she's around, Archie persuades her to leave him alone for a bit, which enables him to locate Troy and the others in a tent. He looks at the map and says, this is where they're hiding gold bullion that was stolen from Kuwait, while shining a UV light on the paper to reveal a hidden passageway. The four of them decide to leave the next morning, in a Humvee without alerting anyone after debating their choices. To get Adriana off his back, Archie offers a soldier called Walter a fictitious copy of the map and sends her on a merry chase. Archie takes the wheel as the group departs early the following morning. The others use the opportunity to practice shooting while moving, using balls as targets. However, when Archie discovers that Conrad placed explosives in some of the balls, he orders them to halt. After Conrad clarifies that all he wanted to see was some action, Archie takes them out of the car and exposes them to the grim truth of the corpses left in the wake of the American bombardment of the area. Pretending that a cow is a guard, Archie wants them to practice moving past other soldiers. However, the unlucky animal trips over a mine by mistake and explodes instantly. The crew eventually arrives at the bunker, where they are granted entry by the villagers as a result of Bush's ceasefire arrangement. Conrad waits outside while everyone emerges from their homes to request assistance from the army, while Archie, Troy, and Elgin seize control of the bunker with ease since the soldiers instantly surrender upon seeing them. After Archie gives them the map and informs them that the gold is in a different hamlet, they escape the bunker just in time to witness the Iraqi Republican Guard arrive, fire a vehicle that just so happens to contain milk, and order villagers back to their homes. After dumping some of the MRE meals they had with them, Archie's crew attempts to ignore the civilians' cries for assistance and gets back in their car. A few miles later, they pause to rest, and Archie tells them that the local army is targeting residents and attempting to starve them since Bush had called on the populace to rise up against Saddam. Additionally, he notices from the map that they have been misled. There had been a well that was heavily guarded by soldiers, thus it must have been hiding the excellent things. Troy is beginning to second-guess himself, concerned about the Iraqi Guard, but Archie reassures him they're too preoccupied dealing with Saddam's insurrection to give a damn about them. Adriana takes control of the car while Walter is preoccupied, and threatens to leave him if he doesn't tell her the truth because she knows he isn't going her anywhere. They steer the automobile toward the settlement with the bunkers after Walter breaks and tells her about it. Returning to the soldiers, they put the guards in handcuffs and left the village, but Conrad remained behind once again as the same three went down the well. They enter a room after passing via a guarded passageway, where Said's group of soldiers are relaxing in front of numerous gadgets. When Archie opens a door, he finds Amir, a prisoner, being beaten for information while a large group of rebels waits for their turn. These men refuse to tell them anything. Amir is able to see his wife and child again after they release all the inmates, and the group is then led into another hidden area. Said is prepared to offer the Americans the gold in exchange for getting the rebels out of here, even though he is aware that Saddam wouldn't want to be robbed. The three discover dozens of luggage full of valuables, including pricey watches and jewelry. They locate the bars and place them in Vuitton bags that can withstand the weight better than worn-out luggage after Archie tells them that they are not just criminals, and that their mission is to return the Kuwaiti riches. Conrad tells the Iraqi Republican Guard that the American army is in charge of this area, but they choose to disregard him as they head outside to apprehend the rebels. The Iraqi guards agree to assist the trio in order to get them out of there when they emerge with the gold, and make plans to steal a truck they see nearby. After all of the gold has been placed into the truck, The Americans attempt to flee without getting involved, but Archie changes his mind after Amer's wife is shot by an Iraqi guard. Asking the guards to leave, he confronts them, but this merely starts a firefight. Troy is shot, but luckily his bulletproof vest catches it, and half of the guards die and the other half surrender. Despite Troy's objections, Archie packs up all the rebels into the truck in the Humvee, and they leave just as Iraqi forces are about to arrive. Sadly, the reinforcements are firing gas bombs at the automobiles, which makes them lose visibility and unintentionally walk into a minefield. While the others are rescued by a group of rebels who shelter in an underground bunker in the region and manage to seize the gold, Troy becomes separated from the group while attempting to save two youngsters from stepping on further mines, and is taken prisoner by the Iraqi guard. Conrad and Elgin get into a fist battle, before being pulled inside the shelter because Conrad wants to find Troy, and Elgin has to stop him from doing something foolish. Troy attempts to flee while the rebels attempt to take a tank back in the village. Sadly, he is kidnapped once more, and carried into the bunker, where he is imprisoned in a room, and given new clothes to prevent him from appearing like an American soldier. Troy discovers a number of cellphones in that room, so he tests them out until he finds a few that work. He first dials an emergency number, but the operator doesn't believe him and hangs up. Troy then contacts his wife, asking her to call the American base, and let them know where he is, after checking on her and their child. Adriana goes outside to cover the story, but the guards grab Walter's uniform, and threaten to send them all away. Colonel Horn discovers that his forces are still interviewing Kathy inside the American base, and he ends the interviews before things get worse. When he asks Kathy if she knows where Archie has vanished, the other troops eventually admit that Archie and the other 3 men took off with the map. To locate them, Horn assigns everyone to work on radio signals and maps. After the rebels tend to Conrad and Archie's injuries back at the hideout, Conrad apologizes to Elgin for punching him. When they check the bags later, they discover they missed a couple, but even so, there is an incredible quantity of gold in them that will make them wealthy forever. Troy was brought to the Oasis bunker, according to Amir, who also notes that they lack water and a radio. Archie strikes a deal with Amir. The rebels can retain some of the gold and they'll lead the Americans to the Oasis bunker while helping them carry the remaining gold. This way, Archie can't call for backup because the treaty stipulates Americans aren't supposed to get involved in the revolt. The Americans will assist them in crossing the Iranian border in exchange. Fortunately, Conrad has been able to retrieve his bomb balls from the Humvee, and the hideout possesses enough weaponry to rearm the soldiers. Troy is being electrocuted in the interim to obtain information. During the interrogation, said, "Who is in charge?" responds to Troy's appeal that he is a father by telling him that he is also a father. This is ironic because he joined Saddam's army just to defend his family from being bombed. When he asks Troy to picture his own family going through the same thing, Troy discovers the emotion is worse than really dying, but this doesn't deter him from being snotty toward Said, so he gets punished by having to drink oil. After walking for a few miles, Archie, the troops, and the rebels stumble upon a settlement populated by Saddam's deserters. The leader shows the Americans the opulent cars they've smuggled after they are warmly welcomed. Archie even gives a speech about uniting against Saddam in an attempt to get him to lend them a few for free, but the leader won't take anything in exchange for real money. Seeing that they have no other option, Archie purchases the cars with some of their gold. Horn receives the communication from Troy's wife back at the American camp, providing them with the address they require. Walter and Adriana, meantime, are unsure of their next course of action. Archie and Amir devise a scheme to break into the Oasis bunker by taking advantage of the fact that Saddam is the only thing the Iraqi Republican Guard is afraid of. They disguise the automobiles to resemble Saddam's entourage, and they send a rebel in the guise of an Iraqi guard to alert the bunker to the impending arrival of Saddam, who is furious with everyone for letting him down. A small number of guards remain to protect the bunker when the majority of them assume that the automobiles are approaching and flee. Amir and Elgin enter the building to save a number of detainees, while Conrad and the rebels remain outside and engage in gunfire. In addition, Archie enters the room to save Troy, shooting all the other people inside save Said so Troy may kill him in retaliation. Nevertheless, Troy chooses to spare Said for the time being following their conversation. Conrad's bomb balls allow Elgin to shoot down the defending chopper that has arrived to the bunker. Now that everything has concluded and the gang is prepared to depart, Troy is eager to assist the locals this time around. But before Archie and Elgin can kill them, the 2 Iroquois guards who are still hidden manage to shoot Troy and Conrad. Troy suffers a puncture to his lung, but he survives because Archie installed a valve in his chest. But regrettably, Conrad passes away. Amir splits up the gold among the family, burying the Americans' portion for later retrieval. When Elgin finds a radio, Archie calls Walter and lets him know where they are. He needs Walter to send for more trucks, and Adriana to record them assisting the rebels so they appear nice in the eyes of the public in order to avoid a court-martial. It's simple for Walter and Adriana to return to base and take 4 vehicles with them, because Horn and the others are preoccupied with figuring out how to get to the bunker Troy's wife informed them about. After saving Archie and the group, they head straight to the strongly guarded Iran border, which is maintained by the Iraqi Republican Guard. Adriana is filming as the troops start leading the rebels toward the border because they are unable to stop them because the American army is present. Regretfully, Horn and his men come in helicopters just as they are ready to cross across to capture Archie, Troy, and Elgin. They also attempt to prevent Adriana from carrying out her duties. After receiving permission from Troy and Elgin, Archie chooses to make a small sacrifice in order to provide the Iraqi guards an opportunity to apprehend the insurgents. In order to establish the gold that is buried, he shows Horn a bar that was dropped by one of the rebels. When Archie brings up the fact that this was a deal struck with the rebels, Horn intervenes and gives the order for his men to release the group and assist in crossing the border. After telling Horn where the gold is, Archie, Troy, and Elgin are still detained for violating the pact. But Archie's forecast comes true. Adriana's report has allowed them to be released with honors. Elgin leaves his position at the airport to work for Archie, who joins Hollywood as a military advisor. Troy has a second child and owns his own carpet business. Iraq gives Kuwait the gold back, but Kuwait says part of it is missing.